your question the week before, and I'll answer it after. We're still going to do that because there are lots of people that won't be able to tune in on the live, especially at this time of day. And I will, if I can move it a little bit later in the morning, I will. But as Saturdays are days that I've got to get a bunch of things done, I tend to do my videos earlier in the morning. So let's go back and go to previous videos and see what we have for questions. First one I have comes from David in California. He says, as you are 100 of these Ask Rob posts, I wonder what your thoughts may have on reviewing where you started, what key points you have learned over 100 weeks, and what you'd like to accomplish in the future. Well, part of what I'd like to accomplish in the future, if we can start with the last question, is more participation. And then being live, I would like to be able to answer questions as they come up to people currently. I think it's a better interaction if I can do it almost face-to-face. Who knows, maybe there will be joint face-to-face. Good morning, Amber. Welcome to the live. Just getting into a few questions that people have left on videos past and answering those. So future, what I really want to get is participation back and forth, like Amber joining right now. That's great. Reviewing what I've done over the last 100 when I get there. We're only 4 away. I probably won't review them all, no, because what questions people had, I've answered them already, so I don't think I want to review them all. And if people ask the same questions in the future, that's all right too. All right, so those are my answers for David. Thank you for asking that question a couple weeks ago. Also, Stephen in Australia asked, what is the most memorable gift at Christmas that you got either as a child or it's something that you gave, and why? So the first thing that jumps to mind as the most memorable gift I ever got was the G.I. Joe headquarters. So back in the early 80s, they put out this giant base. It had all the things you'd expect in a military base and places for your action figures to go. I was big into G.I. Joe and Star Wars action figures at the time, and it was something that my parents had just put in the corner and they put a towel over top of it. So for the longest time, I didn't even notice it was there as far as something that I needed to unwrap. And so when I did, it was just this massive box. It was probably like, it felt like it was about 3 feet long, and yeah, it's great. I still have the Lego base the G.I. Joe headquarters in my basement, in amongst all the other toys that I had as a child. So that, I think, was my most memorable gift that I can remember as a child. So thank you, Stephen. All right, let's go to, while people are still hopefully popping on and thinking of questions, let's go to the questions I had from last week. Last week was the first Monday of the month, so I didn't answer your questions. I read the recipes that you sent them in to me to answer my question. All right, Stephen asks another question here. He says, if you had to choose between, good morning, Victoria. Welcome to the live That Dad Guy Answers chat. Stephen asks, if you had to choose between post-crossing and postcards or stamp collecting, which would you pick? I know it's a bit of a, like asking which is your favorite child or which would you save, so don't feel compelled to answer, but it's a thought. At first when I got it, I thought it probably would be a very hard question, but I don't think it is in the end. I think if I had to choose between post-crossing, postcards, and stamps, all boils down to stamps, really. You can't send a postcard without a stamp. There would be no post-crossing without stamps. And so I think stamps is the most important one of the three. Now, which do I enjoy of the three? I really enjoy getting mail. As a mailman too, it's a job security for me, but I really like to pick up my mail, see what comes in from around the world. But I do look at the stamps. If it's just a generic stamp on there, I feel more blessed. If it's something that's special, I know Monty in Saskatchewan, whenever he sends me stamps, he doesn't just put the regular domestic rate stamp on it. He usually puts some older stamps on it. So it's really fun to see the different stamps that are there. So I probably would have to guess stamps, I think, is the most important of those three things there. So thank you, Stephen, for that. All right, I think that's all the questions that we had from previous videos. So now all new questions are coming from you guys. Amber asks, did you pick a recipe to do for your dessert? I haven't officially picked one yet. I do have some ideas. but I was just waiting for that video from last week to finish getting comments on and people's opinions on it and see what people are looking at. I think I probably will do more than one though. I have the week off between Christmas and New Year's. That's my scheduled week of vacation. My daughter will be home from university then. My son will be around. There won't be as much basketball going on, even though there is a few games for him to do. So I think that might be a good week for me to get a little bit of Christmas baking in. I don't think I'm going to have time to do the recipes before Christmas, the way things are going right now. So yeah, I probably will do more than one recipe and then do it during that week. That's my plan anyways. If I can get one earlier one in, I will. But yeah. All right. So you guys can fire away with other questions while you guys are thinking of that and want to do that. Let me review my question for you for the month of December. So the first Saturday of every month, for those of you who haven't done this before, first Saturday of every month, I ask a question of you guys, and I give you a month to send me in a postcard with your response. The postcard can be related to the answer, but it doesn't have to be. So in December, I said, what is the one thing you'd like to do in 2024? So it could be a work-related resolution, if you want to call it that, a personal one. I'm hoping the answers aren't going to be lose weight and things like that. I want to know about places you want to go to, food you want to try, amusement park ride that you want to go to, or do that sort of thing is what I'm looking for. Festival that you haven't been to in a while that might be in your area that you want to attend. But it could be a game you wanted to get, or something to add to your collection. Yeah, just let me know. That's kind of what we're going to do here. And then the first Saturday in January, I'll read all those responses when they come out. So what is going on with you, Victoria, in England? And Amber, what are you up to? It's a little early for you, Amber, so I'm glad that you've come on and are saying hello. These early parts of the live, I find people are still trying to find me and get on with it. So right now we've only got the two of you on here, so you guys have got to make up the chat by asking some questions and tell me what's going on where you are. For me, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm the only one up. Actually, it's just my wife and I here right now because my son is off at a basketball tournament this weekend in Halifax. As far as I know, last night they played two games. They won one and they lost one, and then they have one later on today. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't been outside yet, so I'm not really sure. I think it's somewhat mild out there. Amber says the kiddos woke up at 6:30, so I am here. Okay, well, that's when the kiddo wakes up. The parents usually wake up too. So have you done breakfast there already? Or is it just TV time? Or what's going on while your kiddo is up? Victoria, for you, I guess it is about 1 o'clock. So you probably already had your lunch, or maybe you're getting ready to have lunch. And maybe you're getting ready to go outside and run errands. I don't know. What do you do on Saturday? What's your plan? Maybe you get to relax today and do nothing. Just change the angle of this camera. I had it a little bit higher so I could read the screen for the questions, but now that we're done that aspect of it, I can just go to this screen. Amber, I think today we're gonna do Christmas market later at our local park. So is that kind of a craft market or food markets? What do they have at your Christmas market? You can see this video, had it not been live today, I'd only had the 3 questions. It wouldn't have been a very long video. I probably could have overlaid some pictures with of that G.I. Joe headquarters. Well, you're going to make breakfast soon, okay? So for you, it must be 7 o'clock in the morning. Excuse me. I think you're on Central Time, are you not? Or are you still on Eastern Time? Victoria must have dropped off and gone off to do her errands. She's not here anymore, I don't think. Oh, you don't know what to expect at the market. All right, well, that's fun. Something new that you guys can go and experience together as a family. That will be enjoyable. What's your go-to for breakfast? Well, truth be known, I don't normally eat breakfast. So when I get up in the morning, because I start work so early in the day, I usually shower and dress and run out the door, go to work, and then when I get home from work, then I eat. But I do like, you know, bacon, sausages, and scrambled eggs, or eggs over easy, French toast. I like breakfast foods, pancakes, waffles, but I don't eat them at breakfast time. I might have a bowl of Cheerios later in the day. Toast with marmalade on it, if I so lucky. Yeah, I like all those things. I just don't like them at 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm up getting ready for going to work. And if I do look tired in my eyes, I am. I've been exhausted from working all these days getting ready for Christmas. Not sleeping as well because my body wants to get up early in the morning. So today's Saturday. It's my one day off that I don't have to work. And my body at 6 o'clock in the morning said it was time to get up. And so I was up and not really wanting to be up for at least another couple more hours. And last night, my wife and I sit and watch TV. By 9:30, I was already nodding off and had to go to bed. So, yeah, Christmas or before Christmas as a mailman can be a little brutal sometimes. Today's Saturday, so we have to run some errands. These are the days we get our groceries. So the grocery store and Costco, those runs happen today. We still have to get some Christmas shopping done at some point. My anniversary is coming up. These are the learning aspects of Alive. Yes, my 6 days are Sunday through Friday. And Sunday we just do parcels. We don't take out any flyers or letter mail that day. We also don't collect letter mail, so if people put it in the outgoing mailbox, we don't collect it, bring it back. We wait for Monday to collect that because there will be no one to sort it on the other end. So what happened for you guys? Do you see this as the same continuous video link? Was there a delay? Well, hello from Germany, Karina. What are you doing in Germany? And do you have a question for me today? So 9:15, too many people. I'm having internet issues, but other than that, it's pretty much like a video chat on our. Okay, so that's good to know. I've had twice now where it says you're having internet issues as well. Yeah, I've had it twice where it says reconnecting, and then it takes a second, it reconnects, and then I'm back again. So I don't know if you're seeing just a frozen screen when that happens. You know what? Interesting to see. Is it working for you? Karina, what are you guys up to? What are you doing today? All right, I see the delay. I'm going to close this down though, because this is not what I want to see in the background. So bear with me 1 second while I try to fix this. You see a frozen screen too. Is it still frozen now? Are you seeing anything active? Hello, Lila from Maryland. But you're back. Okay, so that's what's happening. It's the same as what I'm seeing here. Whenever I get, but using everything to procrastinate. Well, procrastinate away, and I'm glad to be a good procrastinator with you. So yeah, I hope that this won't continue too long. I haven't had this happen on any of the other lives, and I'm sitting in my office, so I'm right next to my router. Hello, Lila. And so I hope the connection will work better. I'm not sure if it's the time of day. There's no one else on the internet at this house, so I'm not fighting for bandwidth with anyone. I will shut down the screen on the computer so I don't have to worry about that. Currently charging my phone too, so I might get up and move to a different room if it continues. Lila, do you have a question for me? Karina, do you have a question for me? Right now, this That Dad Guy Answers format is just me talking like I do in all my other lives. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case going forward, or I may switch this from a live back to a regular and just keep my lives during the week. I like the fact that it is the weekend, so there should be more people that are available that aren't at work that can come on. And I'm also thinking that maybe 10 o'clock my time is a better time to be on than 9 o'clock. It gives a few more people a chance to be around. Who is left here? Who is on? Who's chit-chatting? Who's watching? Merja from Finland is on. Hello, hello. Saying a quick hello from Tallinn, Estonia. Traveling, -10 there. Some snow, lovely Christmas market, gingerbread exhibition. I saw the pictures you posted with the gingerbread exhibition. They look really good. So crafty, the Batman one in the background. Do you keep the envelopes when you get postcards sent in envelopes? There is only one person's envelopes that I have kept, other than, well, I do have a couple. I won't say just one person. When Merja sends me an envelope, I put it in this because she always puts, she's on here now, she always puts nice cancellations, newer stamps on there as well, and I haven't had the heart to tear those cancellations away, so I save the envelopes that they come in. Mostly I don't save the envelopes though, unless the cancellation is something special. So Merja, thank you so much for all those, and hopefully you're enjoying your trip to Estonia. What other questions we have? You have probably answered that multiple times, but what is your favorite thing about post-crossing? I don't know that I have answered it multiple times, but it's certainly the connections. You know, having a chance to meet up with people from around the world, and it starts with the official post-crossing, but it really has gone into all the direct swaps. Part of that is having a YouTube channel and people connecting and wanting to reach out. That has helped, certainly, but through post-crossing itself, I've learned about all sorts of different places. There are some places that I've been to before, and it's nice to see images of them again. And the people are so kind. And so it's the generous spirit, but it is really the community what is my favorite part about post-crossing. What were your kids' favorite books when they were younger? My daughter was a really big reader at an early age, and so she read some that were age appropriate for her level at that time, and some, like, she was reading Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter books in grade 1 and grade 2. But as far as books that I read to them, we had a whole bunch, like the Are You My Mother ones, or Scaredy Cat series, Dr. Seuss books, you know, all those sort of things. We read the traditional ones to them, but my daughter went off and read a whole bunch of other ones about little dogs and things that she enjoyed. My son wasn't really much of a reader. We did read to him, but he didn't and still doesn't pick up a book unless he has to. Do I have regular pen pals? I do have regular pen pals. If you watch my Friday videos of all my direct swaps, people like Merja in Finland, we write back and forth on a regular. Not pen pals as in writing long letters to each other. It is still postcards, so whatever you can fit on a postcard, that's what we're writing. I don't have anyone that I'm writing long letters to. I think social media has kind of taken that away. So if you want to chit chat with someone outside of the postcards, send them an Instagram message and you can chat that way. That's kind of how I do anything longer. And if it gets too long, you can always do a voice message as well, which I really like about Instagram. Need to scroll back here in case I'm missing something, because you guys are now really asking lots of questions, which I love. Lila says, I cut off the stamps unless the envelope is a work of art. Yes, so same as I do. Karina feels that as well about the community. Have you seen any cool Christmas stamps this year yet? Yes, well, I think the ones that Canada Post has put out, these are the winter ones that have come out. They put out a Hanukkah stamp. They also put out, like I have one here. These are our Christmas stamps that have come out. So Canada's put out some really nice ones. I saw the ones the United States have put out. They're nice as well. Stephen in Australia sent me a message, and they put out some beautiful stamps. So yeah, there's lots of beautiful Christmas stamps or holiday stamps out this year. Sometimes I get profiles that do not inspire me, which is a bit more annoying sometimes, but when I get profiles that inspire me, I always get so happy. Maybe I'm weird. No, I think that's accurate. There are some people that put a lot of information in their profiles, and it makes it a lot easier to pick cards for them. Sometimes you have multiple cards that you want to send to those people, and some people just send me whatever you like, it'll make me happy. That's easier said than done. Yeah, you can just pick a random card, write on it, and send it. I don't find that the connection is as great that way sometimes. I also find sometimes I write the same things a lot because it's the first impression you're making to somebody else, and you kind of make the same first impression sometimes. So when you write to someone multiple times, you can change it. It doesn't always have to be about your job, your weather, your family. It can be more about what's going on in your life then. Amber says, what are your favorite messages to receive in post-crossing? I recently received one from an elementary schooler in Germany, and it's so adorable. Favorite messages from post-crossing. So this is from the strangers. Yeah, I think it's ones that are starting in the hobby, that are excited about being in it. Maybe I'm their first card that they sent in post-crossing. Those are nice messages to get, that you're the first one that they send something off to. I had one the other day. It was a gentleman who was collecting cards for his nephew, starting that up. So I think it was kind of a nice story that's how he was doing it for his profile. Getting messages about exciting things that are happening in people's lives, just even if they're a stranger and they say, guess what, I became a grandma today. I think those are nice to read, that you're sending messages like that. A bit of history that going around. Karina says, okay, well, I have 3 pen pals, but 2 haven't responded for almost a year. I'm a bit disappointed, but I don't want to trouble them by asking. Yeah, that gets hard because unless you're in connection with them another way, you really don't know what's going on in their lives, why they're not able to respond. I know there are a lot of post-crossers that do post-crossing because they're sick. It is an easy thing to do without expelling a lot of energy. Even if you can't write very well, you can always type a message and tape it or glue it to a postcard. I've had some friends through post-crossing these last couple of years that have passed away because they had cancer or they had other ailments going on. Those ones are hard too, because you write to somebody, and unless somebody notifies you of their passing, you don't know why they stopped writing. There's been people that I've done direct swaps with on a regular basis, and they've just stopped. And if I'm not in communication with them through any other means of social media, I don't know why they stopped. So I don't know if they've passed, if it just got too expensive and they couldn't continue. But yeah, those become very hard. Lila says, do you prefer all white Christmas lights or multiple colored lights? I like colored lights, but I have a tree where I can set the colors and the lights. It's fun to change it up. That's kind of nice to have that feature. On the outside of my house, it is all white lights. That's what I've done since the beginning. I don't mind seeing other people's lights that are multicolored or that have the electronic lights that can change them to all blue one night, all red the next night, or flashing multiple colors. They're really cool. But on my outside of my house, it's all white lights. Now, as far as my Christmas tree, if you're aware of what we do for a Christmas tree here, I don't have a green tree, I have a birch tree. And on a birch tree, we also have just white lights because it shines through all the ornaments. And we have thousands of ornaments on a birch tree. So it is white lights as well on there. We did have a green tree, and when we did have the green tree on the side, I put colored lights on that one. Karina, I sent a Harry Potter card from 2001 to one postcrosser in the US that had just started. He received it yesterday and was so happy. It's those happy registrations that are also, yeah, when you send something that is in someone's profile and they're excited about getting it, those messages you get back, rather than them just saying thank you for the postcard, happy post crossing, those messages are nice to know that it's been received, but it is extra special when someone goes in and says why they loved what you sent, or it made a lot of difference that day in their lives because of something that was happening outside of post crossing. Because we all have lives outside of our hobby, outside of our social media, and sometimes getting a simple message makes all the difference to brighten your day. So that's another great thing about post crossing and direct swaps. You never know what your card is going to have as an impact when it arrives. And we all can use cheering up sometimes, because we all have heavy burdens on our shoulders of things going on, whether it's financial, whether it's family, whether it's work related, whether it's a hobby related. Sometimes people feel the pressure of, I've got to get all these cards out. So I've got to write the cards today. I've got to get them stamped and in the mailbox and out the door, or registered as soon as they arrive in my mailbox. I like to do that, register them the exact same day. I don't let them go any longer. But there is an added pressure that sometimes can be put on people by feeling they have to do this right now. Just remember, it is a hobby. We fill it in and do it when we can. But the nice thing to flip back is that special feeling of when you get a card that is just right for just that right reason that day. What's the difference between the green tree and a birch tree? Well, one of the differences is a birch tree I don't have to water. So when it gets cut down, it goes in the base. I mean, we might put a little bit of water at the very bottom, but it doesn't require it. There are no needles all over the floor because nothing is there to fall off the trees. That is the story why we've gone to a birch tree. So it's not my family tradition. My family tradition growing up was a green tree. We always had that. We always had a real tree. On my wife's side, her grandparents had a Christmas tree one day, and when they woke up Christmas morning, the needles had all fallen from it, and the grandmother said, never again. So they went to a birch tree. And so my father-in-law's history with Christmas was having a birch tree, and he carried that on into his family. So my wife grew up having a birch tree. So when we got together, we had a birch tree as well. We had a birch and a green tree at the same time, because I had my traditions as well. So I wasn't just going to give them all up. And things got more expensive. So to have two real trees, decorating two trees, it became a lot. And so eventually we just went to the birch tree because I like being somewhat unusual. And people that came into my house just went, wow, look at that tree. It's so different from what you're used to seeing. You can go back into previous videos around Christmas time and you can see that tree. So that's a big difference between having a green tree and having a birch tree. Also, you need to have a lot of decorations for a birch tree versus a green tree. All the needles and things kind of fill up those branches. But they kind of hide some of the decorations too, I find. You really have to go looking for it. One of the traditions we had growing up is that we had an option of putting little Christmas presents in the tree. You can't do that really on a birch tree because there are no limbs that can hide your presents or support a present. Welcome back, Victoria. I see you're back. Are artificial trees very popular in Canada? They're very common here. Yeah, they're very common here as well. It is one of those things where you buy it once. You know, sometimes they come with lights already on that you can program whatever color you want to your tree to be that year. But yeah, you pay for it once, you put it in a box, you take it down. It's simple, it's easy, and it's, you know, people say good for the environment. You're not chopping down a bunch of trees every year, even though there's an industry for people that continually grow Christmas tree farms. I mean, my birch tree doesn't come from a Christmas tree farm, but it does come from a lot that has been scheduled to be built on. So whatever we're chopping down would be chopped down anyways. What's the next one here? Lila says she has a fake tree. The cats leave it alone. They would climb all over a live tree. Yeah, I suppose the smell of live versus artificial is going to have a different impact on your pets as well. Karina says, we haven't had a real tree in a while. Nowadays, we just cut branches off and put them into a big planting pot and decorate the branches. Yeah, that works too. I know lots of people that do that outside or make wreaths with branches to put on their doors. Pre-lit tree is a game changer. I love mine, especially the narrow tree style. Yes, well, I have a friend, Helen in Prince Edward Island. She has, I think, 3 or 4 trees in her house, all artificial ones. But yeah, you get to have those different varieties. You can have a skinny tree, you can have a wide tree, you can have a white tree, you can have a green tree. The lights can be all the same color. The ornaments could all be the same color. There are a lot of different things you can do with having artificial trees. So I'm not for or against one way or the other. If that's what you do, that's what you do. I'm just saying we have a birch tree. And I don't think many other people do, other than other people in my wife's family side, which is very small. This is great. You guys are firing lots of different questions out there on all sorts of different things. So keep them coming. And all I got to do is scroll back to see whether or not I've missed something along the way. That's the advantage too, I think, of having a vertical orientation versus a horizontal orientation. But I must admit, I don't like the thumbnails on these lives when they go out, so I am starting to create my own and then adding them in later when they go up. So if you see it say, that dad guy's live now, it looks like that for a while, and then if you go back and look at the video in the future, you'll see a thumbnail show up. Maybe the first 2 I didn't, but after that I have. All right, Victoria, what are you up to? If you're back now, what are you doing? Or where did you go? Were you thinking up questions? So we have Germany represented. We have a couple from the United States. We have Great Britain now. Will we have any other countries come on? Mediga was here from Finland. Or Estonia, technically, because she's there on vacation right now. Have you ever considered a podcast? Your voice is so calming. I haven't actually, so I don't know. I don't know what I'd do in a podcast. I think this is as close as you get to a podcast, is it not? You just kind of sit around and chit chat anyways with people. What sort of podcast would I do? Could I do a podcast about post-crossing? Is there enough information on that, or other hobbies as well? I hope it's not so calming that I'm putting you to sleep, because then that's not necessarily calming. That just means I'm boring. I don't want to be boring. And I'm glad my Canadian accent isn't throwing anyone off. No one mentioned or noticed that I've shaved. I got rid of all the gray. I think in the last couple of lives I was looking at it, I was like, oh, I really need to shave. Well, I did. I got rid of it. Except for the goatee, of course. The Posty Podcast. So, yeah, it's a good title. No, not boring. Good. Posty Podcast. Would it be a podcast just about the mail service? I don't know if I have enough information to do an ongoing podcast about that. There is a gentleman, though, in Calgary, Alberta, in Western Canada, that is a letter carrier that has a podcast. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I think Pirate Rick or something like that. And he reached out to me about a year ago because he wanted to use some information that I put in one of my YouTube videos. So I was featured one day on one of his videos, or one of his podcasts. That was kind of neat. Lila, I'm coordinating a post-crossing meetup in June. Do you have any tips to help me plan? Well, make sure you have lots of cards, a nice give and take basket is nice. So you ask other post crossers that are coming to bring cards maybe that they don't want in their post crossing collection, and you do the same, and then you can leave some and take some. That's kind of a free exchange of postcards. That's kind of fun. That was one of the things that Sophia does in her meetups that are here. Make sure it's in a nice location that is weather-wise. So if you're indoors, then you're all set. You don't have to worry about if it's going to rain. That's kind of nice. Yeah, just have fun. Make sure you've got a stamper with your name or logo or post-crossing name on it. It'll make it a whole lot easier than signing a whole bunch of cards. Easy tips. Just have fun. Oh yeah, you did. I don't know what that was. Oh, maybe that's in correspondence to me being on Pirate Rick's podcast. I love people talking English, and the Canadian accent is nice. All right, well, thank you. It is very different than the English accent. And it's hard to say a Canadian accent because, like any country, I'm sure if you go to certain parts of Germany, the way people speak their German is going to be different than others. Same thing you're going to find in this country, from Newfoundland all the way to British Columbia or up to the Northwest Territories, Yukon, and none of it. How we speak English is all going to be regionally dependent, I think. What else do we have? Oh, Stephen is on from Australia. Hi, Rob, looking good. Thank you very much. I'm a bit late arriving. That's all right. It is the first live that we've done with That Dad Guy Answers, so I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to do it. I answered 2 of your questions at the beginning of the video, so you're going to have to go back and watch from the starting to see how I answered those, Stephen. I am starting to think that maybe 10 o'clock Atlantic Standard Time might be a better time to start a video on a Saturday morning, so I'm looking at that. I don't know if I could push it to 11 o'clock or not, especially if you talk for an hour, because then it's 11 to 12, but maybe. We will see. Oh yeah, Germany has lots of different accents and dialects. Yeah, that's what I thought. I think every country is probably like that. Even the smaller the countries you have, it will be regional. If you're in Netherlands, I'm sure that they've got regional accents. Luxembourg, I don't know. Liechtenstein, I'm not sure. Those are very small to begin with, so they may not have as many dialects. But countries like Canada and the United States and Russia, we're so large that it only goes hand in hand that we have lots of different ways of speaking the languages that we speak. You still have a Canadian accent regardless of the region. It's definitely go back and check. Oh, okay, you go back and check, great. Yeah, I don't mind saying that I have a Canadian accent. I am very proud to be Canadian, and also very proud of my father, who's English. So having an English background, I'm not ashamed of it. I may be ashamed of some of the things that have happened in history that we as Canadians or as the English have done, for sure. But I'm proud to say that I'm from Canada. Not too educated in that. The dialects of countries, is that what we're talking about? It's kind of the nice thing. You have to be a bit, I don't know, all over the place, I think, doing these lives. I'm starting to learn because people, yes, are staying on topic sometimes, but sometimes they put in a new question. And so if I see it, I answer that, and then I might have to pop back to what we were talking about before. It's kind of fun. It's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle of conversations. And hopefully you guys enjoy the back and forth that we're doing here. What time is it in Australia, Stephen? Where you are anyways. You're part of Australia. I love learning about different accents. Lost accents or dialects are fun to learn about too. Well, there. Yes, you did mean dialects. So there we go again. So, Amber, yes, I agree. It's really cool to see how people speak in different areas of different countries. One of the stories we always said, my wife and I were traveling after university, and for every country we went to, we were able to get along somehow, even if we didn't have the language. we were able to figure out what the person was trying to explain to us or what we were trying to explain to them. The one country we had the most difficulty in was Scotland. We went into a grocery store to buy whatever we were trying to get to eat, and we were waiting in line, and it came to our turn in line, and the cashier started to speak to us, and we had the foggiest idea what they were asking us. So we kind of said, "Excuse me," a couple times, and then eventually the lady behind us piped up and said, "She's asking you whether or not you have the rewards club." We didn't understand. Her Scottish accent was so thick. It was just so funny that we were in an English country and we just didn't understand what she was trying to say to us. So yeah, we got along in Germany, we got along in the Czech Republic, Italy, lots of places. We figured out what people were trying to say, but that grocery store in Scotland, we had no idea. Everybody's gone quiet. Here we go. All right, Amber said, there's a dying one from the region south of me in Missouri called French Creole, and that's been fun to learn about. French Creole. Well, I know the Creole people, especially if you're going into Louisiana. That's where you get the most Creole. And the French that are there are actually from our area of the country. So the history behind that is the Acadian people that live here in New Brunswick, and we're in a bit of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. The British came in here. Of course, the British and French all had colonies in this area. And so when the British took over Atlantic Canada, or the region in this area called Acadia, they went to the Acadian people, so you've got to swear allegiance to the British crown. And if you didn't want to, we're going to get rid of you. So a bunch of the Acadian people, unfortunately, were killed off, or they were put on boats and they were sent away. And one of the areas they sent them down to was in Haiti and Louisiana. And so that's why you have French that's in that area now, and the Creole people. They're all Acadians that were deported from this area. So there's your history lesson. How they ended up in Missouri, I am not sure, but that's where the Creole people come from. Karina, I must admit I'm not a big fan of German dialects. They mostly annoy me, but oh well. I don't know what to say to that. But, yeah, I'm not sure what to say to that. I wouldn't say that other people speaking English in a different fashion annoy me. That's not for sure. It's just different hearing people with an accent say things. I don't necessarily like it when they don't speak grammatically correct, if you can say that. That would be what I mean by that. Let me have an example. What is a good example of something that people say all the time that drive me nuts? I can't come up with one right off the bat. But I know when I was living in British Columbia, there was a lady that used to say something all the time. And it's like, that's not how you say it. Why are you saying it that way? That word doesn't exist. It's not a, well, it exists, but not in that sentence that way. midnight in South Australia. All right, you're up late watching this for sure. So thank you for taking the time to tune in, Stephen. It is different for everyone, but we also make fun of dialects on a regular basis. Like people make fun of other people's dialects. It's kind of normal. Oh yeah, that's normal too. The biggest example of that is Newfoundland here in Canada. It is the furthest east you can go as far as the province in Canada, and they have the thickest accent. They're about all she going by and talking like that. So, yeah, they get made fun of the most, but they also make fun of themselves. They are the friendliest people in the country. If you go to Newfoundland, They have come from away. If you've ever heard of that musical, during 9/11, when all the planes got grounded or rerouted, a bunch of them went to Gander, Newfoundland, and the people of Gander stepped up. They brought people in, they made them food, they drove them to places, and then they created this musical called Come From Away, about the hospitality of Newfoundland. They are one of the friendliest groupings of people in Canada, but they have the thickest accents around. Seems is glad to be here. That's great. That sounds so realized. No, I think we all do that. I'm sure in the United States, people probably make fun of the Southern drawl that some of those Southern states talk like. If you're a Northerner, I'm sure. Well, and I know Northerners do because I have talked to many of them, and I am sure that there are Southerners that make fun of Yankees, and yeah. Pawpaw French is what the French Creole are also called there. I haven't heard that terminology, so that's good to know. I think everyone assumes people from the Midwest US talk like they're from Minnesota. Yeah, there is a bit of that, the bit of the Fargo mentality, I guess. I mean, Fargo is in the Dakotas, but there are some regional accents there as well in the Midwest, for sure, for sure. Just like there's a Texas accent, there's a California accent, there is a Boston accent. The U.S. has a bunch of different dialects and a way of speaking. Canada does the same. Canada gets all Canadians. I think they say that we think we answer our sentences with the word "a" all the time. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably never hear me say that because it's just not something I say here. It doesn't mean that in Ontario, where I think a bunch of those stereotypes come from, you're going to find people that say "a" lot more at the end of their sentences. Like, where are you going, eh? It's almost like the period at the end of the sentence. I don't speak that way, but doesn't mean I'm not Canadian because I don't. And people that talk about the word "about" or "roof," that it sounds different. Sorry instead of sorry. But these words do have O's in them, so why not pronounce the O? We're learning about all sorts of people's dialects and Christmas traditions today on this. The thing is, I oftentimes also don't understand what other Germans are saying because it's so different, but I learned to understand the Yorkshire accent, which can be extremely hard to understand. Who's your favorite singer that is Yorkshire? I may not know them either. It's one of the things that, being in North America, things that are very popular in Great Britain or in Europe sometimes never cross the Atlantic, and we don't get them over here. Do you find that your accent changes if you travel a lot in Canada or talk to your parents? I think my accent is directly related to having the parents that I have, for sure, that I have an English accent. I also find, and much to my wife's chagrin, if I go to different areas and people are speaking differently, I sometimes pick that up subconsciously or so I was in a store in Vancouver when I was living there on Granville Island, and there was a lady from England who was working the cashier, and she started talking to me, and I started talking back to her, and then she asked me where in England I was from. And I didn't mean to do it. I wasn't trying to poke fun. It's just something that happens, and my wife, Louis Tomlinson, is from Doncaster. So of One Direction fame. Australia doesn't really have strong accents, though. Queenslanders tend to speak with a bit of a drawl, and people from Sydney tend to speak quickly. Well, I think that isn't an accent if your pronunciation is changed by the speed at which you pronounce a word. So, and differences in vocabulary. Yeah, it's all regional. I'm sure someone by Ayers Rock is going to speak someone different than someone who's in Melbourne. Why wouldn't I know One Direction? One Direction is one of the ones that has made it across the pond. I also have a 19-year-old daughter, so I am very familiar with the boys of One Direction. My daughter actually went and saw, all right, who did she go see? I don't know if she saw Louis last summer or she saw Liam last summer, but she saw one of the One Direction ones in Montreal last year. And everybody knows Harry, right? Good morning, Isabel. Welcome from Chile. But there are ones like bands like Take That. I've been watching the Robbie Williams mini series on Netflix. I just started watching it yesterday. My wife knew who Take That was. I wasn't really familiar with the music of Take That. Now, they were massive in Great Britain, but never were like the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC were here in North America. Robbie Williams we knew because of Millennium was one of the ones. His Angel song made it here, I think, too. So a couple of his singles made it here. His connection with the James Bond movie, I think, brought him over here as well. Stephen, where are the Bluey characters based off of? I don't know what that question is. Hopefully Stephen does, because that's directed at him. I was at 2 Harry and Louis concerts this year. Your daughter has great taste. Yeah. Well, maybe my daughter is closer in age to you than I am. I don't know how old you are, so very possible. I like Harry's music, though. It's very catchy. All right, Stephen and Amber, what is Bluey you guys are talking about? Is it a kid's book? Or a kid's cartoon? At 21, I think you probably are the youngest here, and so yes, you are very close to my daughter in age. But everybody is welcome. And I don't think we have to categorize each other by what age we happen to fit into. So I'm just glad that you guys want to tune in and that you're willing to put up with me. We're almost coming up on an hour here, guys. Grammatically incorrect is my way, I guess. Haha, sorry. I'm not sure what you meant, Isabel. What were you saying that in relation to? Bluey is a blue heeler cattle dog, so probably a farm. Okay, Bluey's a kid's cartoon and book series. Okay, that makes sense. Amber's 30. I should forget she's not in her 20s anymore. I sometimes forget I'm not in my 20s anymore, and then my back hurts the next morning. So, for a very different reason. I had fun in my 20s. I had fun in my 30s. I'm having fun in my 40s. So next year, I have no doubt that I will start having fun in my 50s. If you can believe that. I did have someone at a post office recently when they found out my age. They were shocked. They thought that I was much younger, so I took compliment in that. Stephen's in his 60s. Sometimes forget he's no longer 18. Yeah, well, Stephen, dementia has that problem. It's based in Brisbane. All right, so Amber got her answer on where Bluey was from. And I don't know what Bluey is. I know what Blue's Clues was as far as a kids program. Yes, so we've got groupings of people from all different age groups here represented. Nobody in their teens yet. But I have had them. I know that my daughter's friends in university sometimes watch my things too, which I find is hilarious that they do. But I'll take the compliment that it seems to me that I can appeal to a variety of age groups, and that post crossing and stamp collecting and postcards and Lego also appeal to a wide variety of people. So it makes sense. All right, anybody have any other questions coming up here? What do we feel with this first That Dad Guy Answers? Is it just basically a live? You see, it was good to talk to you, but I really need to get back to analyzing interviews. See you next time. All right. Thanks, Karina. I appreciate you joining in, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Anybody else that's left on here, what do you think about this That Dad Guy Answers? Is it a way we should continue doing it this way? Should I go back to the old way? Or how was the casserole the other night? It was good. Yeah, it turned out really well. The last chat soon, Karina. Appreciate it. You guys can always look for me too on Instagram as That Dad Guy 1974 if you ever want to chit chat that way as well. Yeah, I didn't show you the very finished product of that casserole. The only last step on it was sprinkle a little cheese on top to melt at the very end and then serve it up. So it was good. We enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed watching it. All right, people seem to be winding down as well. So let's wind up this That Dad Guy Answers. I want to thank everybody who did come in and all the different questions that we had and topics. I'm going to continue to say that you can leave your comments on this video, and next week I will respond to them, or you can tune in. I'm not going to post the time, but I will, anyways, I will talk about it when it gets a little bit closer. I think, though, that I'm going to go to 10 o'clock Atlantic Standard Time for next week. So an hour later to start the live. We are going to try to do it as a live one more time, at least, just to see if we can capture everybody that wants to be a part of it. And if we can continue to get rapid questions like this, it'll be a lot more interesting, a lot less dead time in between. So thank you so much for everyone for joining, and have a magical week.